Welcome back to the Cycle Starters podcast, where we honor the courageous women who are rewriting their family stories, breaking generational patterns, and birthing new legacies rooted in love, healing, and radical authenticity. I'm your host, Heather Rebecca Wilson, and today I am so honored to welcome a woman whose work spans the realms of transformation, spirituality, media, and empowerment, Havilah Malone. Havilah is a multiple award-winning TV/radio host and media personality, an international speaker and best-selling author. She has dedicated over 2 decades to helping individuals and organizations amplify their message and step into their full power. She's an accredited master certified practitioner of NLP, a Silva Method practitioner, and a certified instructor for the Napoleon Hill Foundation. Her best-selling books include Rewriting a New History, A Spiritual Path to Audacious Authenticity and Healing, The Power of Inner Sparkle, and the children's classic, The Amazing Adventures of Oliver Young Napoleon Hill, based on the Think and Grow Rich principles. But beyond her accolades and achievements, Havilah is a true cycle starter, someone who carries ancient codes of healing, innovation, and leadership in her very soul. She is here not only to inspire transformation, but to redesign the very structures that hold us. And we'll get more into that when I give her her mini galactic astrology reading at the end of this conversation. But before we get to that, we will explore Havilah's ancestral healing journey, the patterns she's breaking, the cycles she's starting, and the powerful work she's doing to help others step into their audacious authenticity. So before we dive in, I do have a favor to ask. If you are enjoying the content that we are creating here on the Cycle Starters podcast, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. It really helps the algorithm get our content in front of more viewers. So thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. So grab a drink, get a snack, settle in, open your heart, and let's meet the incredible Havilah Malone. Hi, sis. So nice to see you. Thank you for saying yes to being on the show. How are you doing today?
Doing magnificent, really. I'm grateful to be here, number one, to be here with you. I'm super excited about our reading later and to be able to be of value and be of service to those who are listening in and taking their time to be here with us today. So I'm living a good life.
Yes, yes. Here's to a good life. Well, let's just jump in. What can you tell us about your blood ancestors, your blood ancestry?
Yeah, I am actually originally from New Orleans, Louisiana, more specifically from Kenner, which when you fly into New Orleans, you actually fly into Kenner. And so I had my mom, my dad there with me. My grandparents on both sides actually passed when I was pretty young. So there's like very little that I remember of them. But I did, as I got older, do this 23andMe ancestry deep dive, and it gave me some interesting results. It told me that I was 86.4% sub-Saharan African, which
Mm-hmm.
the majority of that, I think around 34% being in Nigeria. And then some other areas, I think like 16% was in Liberia or Ghana, like that area, and then some Congolese. And then I am 11.6% European, so like British, Irish. I mean, my last name was Malone, so there was somewhere in the line. And then I was like 1.3% East Asian and Native American. A interesting mix of, world cultures and ancestry. That is what has bubbled forth together to create moi.
Okay, amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And we have the Nigerian DNA in common. I'm actually 17% Nigerian as well. And I think I have a little Ghanaian in me as well, and some British and Irish. So we may have ancestors in common. Who knows?
You know what? Probably.
Probably, right?
It's a
Yeah, I'm
smaller
from
world than we realize.
it is. It is such a small world. And yeah, my family, my paternal side is from the DMV. So DC, Maryland, Virginia.
Okay. Yeah,
And
my
I
mom,
think
her side is originally from, Kansas City, Missouri, and so
okay,
yeah. Well, my dad grew up born and raised in New Orleans.
right. I need to get to New Orleans just for
Mhm.
the beignets. I really need some food.
The food is so good. I was just there earlier this month because our film was in a festival out there, and I was so grateful to go back home. And I was just like, I just want to eat some boiled seafood. The
Yes.
flavors that are there, cultures that have come together. When they call it a gumbo and a melting pot, it is not only culturally but also the food, and it is so good. I was having boiled shrimp because it was past
Yes.
crawfish season, so I was like, okay, no problem, but I'll just have boiled shrimp and the fixings that would come with a dish like that, the potatoes and the corn and the boiled mushrooms, and Lord, it was good. So you definitely got to get to New Orleans.
I know, and I just tell myself, you're gonna gain 5 pounds when you go, just because 'cause I'm gonna be eating the entire time. Because I love seafood and I love shrimp, and then I also learned that there, is a history of Filipinos, in Louisiana as well, so that's a whole other conversation. That's my mother's side, by the way.
It is a cultural melting pot,
Yeah,
literally. Like, my mom learned Mandarin Chinese where she can write the characters, speak it, because there's such a large Chinese population there, and she wanted to be able to minister to them. So she learned Chinese to be able to do this, and I was just like, "Okay, wow, go you." I started
yeah,
learning
go
Japanese,
mom. Seriously.
but I was like, "You know what? Imma let you run. You go run with that, and I'll pick up a few little words I can communicate with you, but that's about."
Very impressive. That is very impressive. Yeah, I really need to get there. I know my husband and I would have a ball just touring around and eating, and the city has so much history, so I think
Yeah,
that
the
would be
food, the
very
people, like, the
interesting.
hospitality, like, there's just it's nothing like it, and in going back, it really just reminded me because from the time you touch down, everybody's like, "Hey, baby, how you doing? How your mom?" And like, it
Yeah.
really is that caring community, everybody's your friend, where we really will have a conversation and engage with people and wanna connect with people, where, here in LA, yes, I've built a community of really amazing people. Most people that you run into for the most part is just kinda like a hi and bye, or it's like,
Yeah.
"Well, what do you do?" What area of the industry are you a part of? Where New Orleans, I mean, it's a different beast. It's a different atmosphere and focus, and there's a lot of beauty to it. So it's definitely worth, investigating it through some personal experience.
It's on the list. It's on the list, and I will have to contact you before we go so I can get a list of recommendations, so,
You got it.
yeah. Don't be surprised if you see me in the inbox, "Havilah, I need some places to go." So
I got you. I got you.
thanks. Thank you. Well, so in terms of ancestral healing, I'm so curious when the concept actually entered your consciousness insofar as, when did you realize that things could be passed down from generation to generation? But then also, when did you realize that you had the power to shift those patterns and start new cycles?
I think innately we always know, we just may not have complete awareness of it. We see patterns in our family or things, and then we look at our own behavior and we're like, wait, I'm doing the same thing. When we become more self aware, it becomes easier to see those patterns. And it wasn't until 2012 when I really went on a deep dive into my own healing journey and my own real deep self reflection journey, and seeing the patterns that were there and the things that I needed to break and no longer move forward with. I had gone to, and this actually happened after a massive layoff. I was contemplating because I used to work for Hewlett Packard for nearly a
Mhm.
decade. I was their spokesperson on the Home Shopping Network and QVC. I was running a $160 million technology business. My identity had become tied up with being Miss HP. And so
Mhm.
when that was no longer my identity anymore, it was like, wait, who are you? And what do you really want out of life? Because I grew up with a very specific life path laid out for me because I grew up in a family that was Jehovah's Witness. And so it was like, yeah, so it was very much like, don't get too involved in the world, because this world is passing away. Your focus is on this future to live forever in this, paradisaic like conditions, but everything else is not important. This is what's important. And so my whole life and identity was tied around these things. And so I got to a place where I was like, wait, Havilah, what do you want? Who are you? And I ended up at a Tony Robbins, his UPW, Unleash the Power Within, because I saw Oprah had gone on what a special she did on her show where her and her producer had gone, and she had all these breakthroughs and she walked on fire. And I was like, one day I'm gonna do that. And it was literally 9 months after watching that program that I was there, and I walked on fire and I had all these breakthroughs. And I remember being in the room and hearing they had just come back from India and they were doing these blessings over people's heads and putting energy into us. And I just remember one watching them start to come around, and I was like, oh my God, I should not be here. Like, this is stuff from the devil. Like, this is so against all of the teachings that I've ever had. But there was something in me that was like, no, you're supposed to be here.
Mm.
This is what is calling you right now. And I remember them doing that blessing and just the energy that I felt through my body. And I ended up joining Tony Robbins' Platinum Partnership where we traveled around the world with him for a year, learning specifically from him and his close associates in the community. And it was in that process that a lot of the cycles for me started to break. I finally broke my silence around being molested in my youth. In a culture and a family environment where everything is supposed to be kept inside, not necessarily like swept under the rug, but we deal with everything internally. And that wasn't really helping or helpful for me because it was like when the person is within your household who is your abuser, who ended up, it was my brother. It was like, well,
Mm.
where do you go? Because you're already inside. So for me to be able to one, break that silence and no longer have to hold the identity and the shame and the guilt and the disgust within myself of this situation and start to heal and release that and allow all of those layers that were not mine to carry to come off of me, and which helped me to start realizing, wait, I do have power. I do have purpose. There are amazing things that I have access to that have just been literally suppressed within myself. And that journey of working with Tony Robbins, doing all these events, Date with Destiny, just a slew of them. But then I also learned about NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming. And when I was introduced to that tool, I was like, okay, then I can utilize this to start to reprogram my neural network, to reprogram my belief system, to reprogram these patterns that are within me that are not serving me for what it is that I truly want in life, and help me to start connecting back to my divine power, to my safety, to my beingness. And so it's just like every step led to a new step, a new discovery, a new tool, a new practice that allowed me to continue like shedding layers that were not me so that I can get back to the base of being who I am.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing all of that. And also, thank you for sharing so openly and vulnerably, especially about the molestation piece, because this is such a tender topic for people. And I love how you're modeling strength and empowerment around having gone through such a terrible experience, honestly. Um, is your brother still around? Do you have a relationship with him? Do you mind me asking?
Yes,
Because this is
certainly.
part of the healing, right? How do you navigate that with somebody who's so close to you who
Yeah.
betrays you like that?
Yeah, it was in 2014 when I ended up breaking my silence and then even addressing it with him and sharing it with the family. And for about a 2-year period, my brother just disappeared. He literally went MIA and would not respond to anybody, anything. He just kind of fell off the map. And then he showed back up with certain ones who were like, kind of more open and receptive. He and I have not been in contact. We don't have a relationship relationship. I guess you would call it estranged.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I don't have any ill will towards him either. I pray that because for anyone to do something like that to someone else, it's for me, at least in my understanding or my intuitive knowing, something has to have happened to you to get to a place to be able to pass that on to somebody else. And
Right.
so I just pray that he gets the healing that he needs to be able to get back to a place of wholeness and wellness within himself. And so doing a lot of that work or that self cleansing and self development work within myself, it's funny, even as I think about him right now, I wish him the best in life. I wish him the best. And I'm okay with not having, an active relationship. I don't feel like that would necessarily be like super healthy for me.
Right. Yeah.
So as it stands right now, I think is what it should be. And I think the biggest piece of it for me was being able to get to a place where I could be free. I could release that. Because I mean, I had literally decided to go to my grave with that. Because one, I didn't think
Mhm.
anybody would believe me. I
Right.
don't want to be who like breaks apart our family, with sharing this. And so it's like I built all these stories in my own mind. And it was just kind of like, no, I'll just carry the burden of this. And it was like, wait, 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 this is not your burden to carry. So you get to let this go and you get to keep moving forward and get to grow and blossom and do everything that you came to in this lifetime. And holding on to that weight is not going to allow you to fly. It's not.
So much embodied wisdom coming from you right now. So powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Well, so I heard you mention that dealing with things internally, this silence, it sounds like that's one of the patterns that you're breaking in this life. Are there any other cycles you're breaking? Any other patterns you feel like you're breaking?
Yeah, I think the tie or the connection to religious upbringing.
Mhm.
So I'll say this. My current belief system is that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, that
Mhm.
we have chosen to come into these lives, into these families, into these circumstances for whatever lessons that we came here or experiences that we came here to have for our own growth and evolution. And so in that, I chose, from that soul form or spirit form, chose to come into this religious pathway, but I
Mhm.
also feel like I came into this particular pathway to be able to gain the value that is there because there was a lot of value in my upbringing in those teachings. And then there was some of it that was not in service of me or that I don't necessarily 100% agree with, but there was still beauty in the shape of it, the totality of it, the influence that it had on me in that segment of my life that still carries forward. But it was also a part of the cycle or the lesson was to be able to break patterns, to be able to break free, to come into something that is so strong, that is so a part of your identity, a part of your beingness, but also choose something else. The power of choice is a cycle that I came to be able to break because I did not think I had a choice.
My goodness. All right, so is everybody in the family still in the Jehovah's Witness community? Are you the only one who has broken away from it? Can you tell me a little bit more about
Yeah,
that?
so my mother, father, like, they are still currently witnesses. As far as I know, my oldest brother and sister, which came from my dad's first marriage, their mother was of a different faith, and so even though growing up, they would come to meetings and stuff with us, but they never became actual witnesses. They went their own religious pathway, so my immediate core family, for the most part, yes, they all are witnesses. And so even a part of that with me deciding to leave that faith also meant that I was like excommunicated. It meant that the people who were part of the faith would no longer have like dealings with me or communicate with me anymore. To this day, my dad still doesn't talk to me, and
My
a part of it
goodness.
is like I understand because I came from that belief system. So I was like, I understand the rationale behind the lack of communication. And then I also see it from another perspective. I also see it from another side. And so to be able to have the ability to see two sides of a coin and still have honor and respect for both sides of it, I think was a part of what I came here to experience and learn because I am a bridge builder. And so
Yeah.
that lesson that I learned through my own personal experience, I take forth with me even in helping organizations and businesses to be able to communicate and they could at least see each other and understand each other. I take that into even cultural differences because everybody feels like their religion, their culture, their way is the right way and every other way
Yeah.
is not. And so to be able to again have been on two sides of a coin helps to be able to mend communication between, opposite sides of things to see that we all are one. And if you chunk up enough, we are all looking for the same things. We just may be going about it in different ways or using different language to communicate it, but we're saying the same thing.
So impressed with you. I mean, I think that another person having gone through all of these traumatic experiences, like family estrangement is traumatic. I think any other person having gone through those experiences could be very bitter, very negative. And I don't get that vibe from you at all, right? Other people can go through something like that and really take on a victim mentality for the rest of their lives, and I do not get a whiff of that from you, and that's a testament to how much work you've done on yourself, how much healing you've done. So, go girl. I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's interesting because I have spoken to many other, people who have either left the Jehovah Witness faith or even other faiths, and I can like I feel the energy of just the bitterness that's there,
Yeah.
just feeling very wronged by,
Mhm.
the organization or the family or the situation. And at the end of the day, how is that going to help you to get what you want out of life?
Right.
Now, we have the right to feel however we wanna feel. Like,
Yes.
it is our divine human right to choose, but again, it's a choice, and I choose peace. I choose happiness, I choose me, and so me holding on to that, I always look for the highest and best in a situation. And it's so interesting because you mentioned earlier that I am a master practitioner for an instructor for the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and I have the Napoleon Hill Foundation, the book that was based off of Think and Grow Rich. One of the principles in Think and Grow Rich is learning from adversity and defeat, and it says that in every adversity and defeat there is a seed of equivalent benefit, but we have to look for it. So, the most horrific situations in life, there is still a seed of benefit that is there. Now, you can stay focused on the horrificness of it, which is true too, or you can start to look for the benefit in it and get that, which is also true. So, I've learned how to choose the good.
Yeah, and it shows. It really, really shows. You are a bright, shining light. So, okay, well, we need to talk some astrology now because basically I want to share with you what I found and then get your feedback about it to see if it lands or not.
Yeah.
Before we jump into the galactic astrology reading, I want to talk about your sun, moon, and rising sign because those energies make up the vast majority of your energetic signature. So you are a Cancer sun, correct? A
Yes, I
Leo rising
Mhm,
and an Aquarius moon.
mhm.
So you have fire, water, and air in your big 3. So that's very balanced. So let's talk about the Cancer sun. So this is interesting to me because you just shared a lot of family history with me. And The sign of Cancer is really about the family. So the sun is where you shine, right? It's where the sun was the day that you were born. And it represents the special sauce that you mix into everything that you do that makes you stand out from the 11 other astrological signs. And each sign is a spectrum of psycho-spiritual energy with a high expression and a low expression. And so Cancer is cardinal water. So it's that initial thrust of water. So it's very, very powerful emotions. Water is our emotions, our feelings, our sentiments. And Cancer is really associated with the mother and this nurturing energy. All of the water signs are very psychic and intuitive. So I know you're super psychic and intuitive. I know you feel everything. Family is really important to Cancer, like I said, bringing people together. My mom is a Cancer sun, so she loves hosting, family gatherings. Family heirlooms are very important to her. And then the lower expression of Cancer is basically not being able to let things go. If you think about Cancer the crab and that crab claw just like clamping down on something and just like will not let it go. And also, because you love so hard, sometimes you can wear blinders and you're just so devoted and obsessed with somebody that you don't see everything that's going on. So I'm curious, how is this Cancer sun life? How does this show up in your life and your
Yeah,
life
it's
story?
so the things that you just mentioned about it, like, are so spot on and so true. Like, I'm a introverted extrovert. So,
Mhm.
even as, like, as in the public eye as I am, and, I do all the events, and I'm on the red carpets and doing all the things, I recharge inside. I
Yeah.
recharge in solitude. Just came back from, a vacation, after shoot, and I went to Dubai by myself. And
Mhm.
it was the most wonderful thing to just be able to kind of like go inward in the world and enjoy that. And family is like super important to me. Like I'm very loyal. I'm like, once you're in my tribe, you're in my, fear circle, then I go hard for you because those relationships are close, intimate relationships are really, really important to me. And it's so funny you talked about on the flip side of it where you can have issues with letting things go. You can get very emotional about things. And it's true, like I've been able to recognize patterns within myself and when I have grown or when I have made shifts. Because say somebody wronged me, I would hold on to that for
Mm.
so long and it would infiltrate my thoughts and I would be thinking about it all the time. And it's like, well, I could have been having a joyous moment over here. I'm still thinking about that thing that happened like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And that was like a significant part of my life where I could hold on to something so strongly. And as I have grown, I can recognize within myself, I'm like, wow, that thing just happened. And you're not even really worried about that no more. Wow, you did let's let that go. And that awareness of those shifts that were happening over time became very prevalent. That just literally happened yesterday or day before yesterday. Production had booked my flight, and apparently in the US, we're not used to a 24-hour clock. We're used to a 12-hour clock.
Yep.
And so it was done in a 24-hour clock. And so my flight, I thought it was at 1:55 PM. It was at 1:55 AM. And so I get to the airport
Surprise. Oh my
I get
god.
to the airport at like 10 o'clock and I'm like, oh, I got all these hours or whatever. And then I'm in the airport in Dubai and people are not even there. The counter agents are not even there because they only go there once a day for that one flight. And I was like, wait, what? And I just remember being like, okay, it's all gonna work out. So let's just figure out. Let's sit down and let's just chart out what needs to happen next. You need to get in contact with the travel agent. You need to get in contact with the airline. You need to figure out what other flights are available with other airlines, blah, blah, blah. And it was just everything was so calm and kind of calculated and just allowing it to unfold because I have come to know and believe that everything is working out for my highest and best good. Even the things that seem to be off, seem to be wrong, it is a protection for me or putting me on a path or trajectory for me to experience or receive something even better. So no matter what the appearances are, it is always working out for me. And because I have that belief, even me completely missing my flight,
Yeah.
completely, I wasn't supposed to be on that plane. Now I pray nothing happens on that plane,
Yeah.
for nobody else, but I wasn't supposed to be on that plane. So let me look for that seed of equivalent benefit. There's something here for me. And let me tell you, I was at the airport for 3 hours trying to figure out what the next steps are gonna be. Finally figured it out. The next flight didn't leave until the next day. So I was like, okay, well, now I have an additional day here in Dubai. So what do you want to go do? 3 things that I did not get to do while I was there prior. Well, now I have a whole free day that I can go do those things. And I
Mhm.
did. And it was marvelous. And so I was like, look at the benefit that came from this. And you literally got an additional day in Dubai. And now I was on that flight at 1:55 a.m. yesterday.
Well, look, I agree with you. We are always being guided. Everything is divinely organized, and you weren't supposed to be on that flight. You were supposed to have these experiences at the end as a delightful surprise, as a gift from spirit. So good for you for being flexible. And I think that speaks to your intuition too, right? You just know, okay, everything's fine. You're not going to flip out. Well, this makes me think about your moon in
Aquarius.
Aquarius because that's a totally different energy than Cancer. So first of all, it's fixed air. And air is our consciousness and our beliefs and our communication. And when a sign is fixed, it means that it's pretty stable, reliable, the lower expression of fixed energy would be stubborn, though. And Aquarius, that archetypal energy is really the visionary, somebody who's future oriented, who's a humanitarian, somebody who's a rebel and likes to be different. And the moon in our natal chart in tropical Western astrology represents our emotions, our emotional inheritance, which includes ancestral wounds, but also the gifts that our ancestors have given us. And then the moon also shows us what we are responsible for giving to ourselves in order to feel balanced and at home in our own energy. So that's why I tell everybody you should know your natal placements because it's a manual for having your best life. And so with this moon in Aquarius, this tells me that probably your default for processing emotions is up here. It's
Mm,
mental. Right, it's being intellectual first. That's the comfort zone. Sometimes Aquarius is so visionary, it's like deep space. They're so far out there. They have to remember to ground themselves so that those visions can be relatable to the other people who don't have that strong Aquarian presence. But I'm curious, how do you care for yourself with this Aquarius moon? Because I think also the ancestral wound could also be around groups and friends and this sense of belonging,
mm.
but also the gifts that you've been given with this Aquarius moon from your ancestors is this amazing intellect and that amazing ability to kind of get out of the Cancer emotional whirlpool, right? You just are getting sucked down. It gives you some space from that Cancerian wateriness. But yeah, tell me what this Aquarius moon life is like for you.
Yeah, I love the way that you articulate these things because it's so on point. It's
Thank
so
you.
on point. Yeah, speaking of, it's so funny because talk about the future and, space and stuff like that. They're sitting with me. This is from the Museum of the Future from Dubai when I just went.
That is so cool.
So it's like literally pictures of me with all these things from the future, the flying taxis that are coming next year. So she's
God.
literally speaking this. I'm like, yeah.
Mhm.
And you're right. Talk about like the Cancer and the Sun, and then the Moon in Aquarius, and then those two were emotional, and then intellect and mental. It does give me the ability to, yeah, go and feel very deeply about things, and then also be able to go into an intellectual contemplation of life in the world in a situation and not get stuck in either of them, but be able to navigate between them, which I think they're both very useful and necessary.
Yes.
He graduated from college at 19, so like the
Of
intellectual
course.
piece is definitely
Yeah.
there. And I love thinking about human potential and what we're capable of. I think one of my biggest gifts, and it may come from those aspects of my nature, as you just described, is being able to take very esoteric, deep, very hard to grasp concepts that are spiritual and bring them into a very grounded and
Yeah.
easily explained, and where someone can not only feel it in themselves and then have that awareness of the knowing of it, but actually apply it in their lives. Yes, I have words that I can articulate in a lot of different ways, and that takes intellectual capacity to do it. But then it also takes going into the emotion of the Cancer and the Sun to be able to connect with somebody very deeply. So I think you're so on it. And then what was the aspect that you said around the moon in Aquarius that was the lower aspect of it?
Unhealed moon in Aquarius is very cold and detached.
Mm,
They're
okay.
removed, right? They're not
Oh
connected
my
to
god.
their emotions at all.
Oh yeah, I definitely have the phases of that where I've even been told. A good friend of mine, I remember this was around 2012. Oh my god, this is where a big shift happened for me,
Mhm.
and I started doing the work, the real deep work. But it was in 2012, and she told me, she was like, "You could be so cold." And it's just someone can bring me the situation and they're going into the deepest depths of the thing that went wrong for them. And I'm just like, okay, are you done yet? Because we've had this conversation 15 times and we're going to have it how many more times? Because you're not listening to what I'm telling. So I can remember being in that place of my patience would run out and then I would detach from the thing. And I'm just like, okay, yeah. I'm gonna need you to go figure that out because I'm done. And she told me that one time. She was like, "You are cold," and I was like, "No, I'm not. I don't want to carry that anymore." But I can understand how somebody can perceive that as cold, and you literally just articulated that it comes off as cold. I will only have so much capacity to hold other people's things, but then I will just either direct you to a professional who you can then sit down and have therapy with, or I will give you a tool. And once you have utilized this tool, then you can come back to me. But for someone to just keep coming back with the same thing over and over again and not doing anything about it, yeah, my capacity for that is not super big.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that's an Aquarian trait. Once you're done with something, you're done.
Yeah. Even
When you're done with
relationship, that's
yeah,
funny.
with a person, you're done. You're like, "Oh, I saw what I needed to see, and this is over." And the door is closed, and there's a padlock on it, and I'm putting
Yeah,
cement over it, and there's no way to get back in.
that's so true. Cause like once I let you in very deeply. But
Yeah.
once you out,
You
you're
out forever. Well, so this Cancer energy is super loving, but the Leo energy is also super loving. So you're a Leo rising, and this is also fixed, but it's fixed fire. And fire is our passion and creativity and our intuition. And the rising sign is based on the time of day that you're born. That's why I asked for your time of birth,
yeah.
and it's the vehicle for your divine mission. So you chose all of these placements on the other side is my belief. It's the lens that you see everything out of. It's your perception of reality, and it's also the energy that people first pick up on when they meet you. And for some people who aren't self-aware, they don't know how they come across. So sometimes the rising sign qualities are in the shadow, but the people that you're meant to serve in this life, these are the qualities they're picking up on, and these are the qualities that they're drawn to and that they admire in you. And so Leo is the devoted performer. Like, hello, you are on stage, speaking, doing your thing. Um, this is the heart centered leader. So Leo is very generous. And what I have found is there is this work hard, play hard energy with Leos that is the special sauce for Leo. You can just work your ass off and then party for the week. And you're like, this was great. I definitely can't do that. But people with a strong Leo presence, they can just go, go, go because it's like this blowtorch, this consistent fire. You have so much energy. And then also, what I've found in reading all these charts is that there is a growth journey for Leo around finding the right stage for you to shine. And what I mean by that is sometimes there will be folks with this strong Leo presence who are addicted to the spotlight. They're like one extreme where they're obsessed with getting external validation and recognition and getting attention. And then on the other end, you have somebody who is so averse to the spotlight, who cannot take a compliment, but yet wants to be visible. They're resentful because they want some more attention, right? They do want to shine. And so the happy medium between those two extremes is this is my stage. This is where I shine, right? You're not trying to be in the spotlight all the time, but you're also not deathly afraid of it, but also secretly mad that you're not on stage. So tell me about your journey around this.
Wow, it's so interesting when you just said that about those were the 2 ends. I feel like those 2 ends were my one end, and then I've come to another one.
Mhm.
Meaning, in the very beginning or earlier on in life, especially when I hadn't gone through my healing work and, hadn't broke my silence, like, I always knew I was meant for a stage. I always knew I was supposed to be on camera or, articulating, sharing a message with someone from very powerful platforms that from childhood I was aware of when I was dancing around my living room with my brush microphone or doing news
Mhm.
reports, to the television in the living room. And so my first career path was actually going to be a lawyer because in high school I was a part of a junior league program where we actually tried real cases in court. All of our
Cool.
defendants were already found guilty of their crimes. We just argued sentencing before the judge. And then because I graduated high school at 16, when I skipped the year, they were like, okay, well, I got to decide what I'm going to go to school for. And I was like, okay, I can go to school, become a lawyer, or I could just play one on TV. And I was like, that'd probably be way more fun. And so I decided to go the dramatic arts and communication path. And then I also got a degree in psychology. And as I'm going through this pathway and upon my last year of college, I interned at a Fox news station. The goal, the dream was always to be on camera. But at that time, my self-esteem was so low. I was so hypercritical of myself or whatever that I would sabotage myself from getting opportunities or even going after the on camera opportunities. And so it was like, yes, my desire was to be on those stages, but I didn't feel worthy of that. And so
Mm.
I didn't pursue it. So I was like, I'd rather reject myself before somebody else got an opportunity to reject me. And I saw that patterning quite a bit in my life of not really going for the thing that I wanted until I started doing my healing work. And two, I think a lot of the desire for fame back then or desire for visibility back then was to try to fill a void of not feeling valuable, not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough. And so it was like all of these accomplishments were like trying to fill a hole that could never be filled by those things. Even when I was doing things on camera and I was becoming more like popular in the television space or whatever. And the more accomplishments or accolades that I got, it still was not fulfilling that hole that would never fulfill. And so when it really came down to it and what I realized through my own journey, it was I needed to learn how to love me. I needed to learn
Mhm.
how to accept myself. I needed to say yes to me. And once I did and was no longer looking outside of myself for that validation, for that belonging, for that love. And it was like, no, that's something we give to us. And then
Yeah.
everything else is just overflow. Everything else, it's wonderful, but I don't need it because I already have it, but I receive it because it feels good and it's wonderful when it comes from outside, but really the power is from inside. And then from that place, it's interesting because then it became easier to get on stages or to get on television or to do all those things. And now it's wonderful. I literally, I think I have 7 national commercials that are airing right now. And
That's so
so
awesome.
literally you can't flip a channel without seeing me somewhere. It's cool, it's amazing. Hey, it pays the bills. I am very grateful,
Yeah.
but I don't need the recognition for my feeling worthy. I am worthy. I'm worthy simply because I exist. I get paid to exist, literally.
I love that. That's one of my mantras too. I get paid to exist. I receive money in my sleep. I receive money just for breathing. Such a powerful mantra because then you're radiating a different frequency so that you get to
Mm,
magnetize all these opportunities to you that are being organized by our guides and our ancestors on the other side who are always setting us up for big wins. That's my feeling, and big healing. Well, I think this is a good time to segue into our galactic astrology reading. So, for those of you who are new to my work and this channel, I'm an ancestral healing guide, and just recently, I finished my certification in quantum soul guidance galactic astrology. And so, galactic astrology is just adding an outer layer on the traditional planets in tropical Western astrology. So, I'm looking at how your natal planets are in conversation with fixed stars, nebulas, black holes, and super cosmic points to give you a larger perspective on your soul's journey over eons of time. So, my soul is ancient, I learned, and Havilah, your soul is very, very ancient. And so, are you ready to hear this?
yes, indeed. Look, I literally
Okay.
just got like these spine tingles like through my head and body.
Yeah, no, this was super rad. When I was looking at your placements, what came through immediately was how rare and powerful the combination of energies are. So you mentioned, working with Tony Robbins, studying underneath him, and you actually have something in common with him. There are 4 galactic themes that I always scan for when I'm looking at somebody's galactic report. And the first one is the teacher, speaker, influencer guide. And I always give Tony Robbins as the example of somebody who has that type of chart. You have that chart. You're also an innovator, systems builder, change maker. Okay. So you fell into 2 of these categories, and it's pretty rare that I find anybody with 1. So you have 2. So you're not here just to inspire people, you're here to change the actual architecture of the world that they live in. So one of your strongest signatures is your North Node in Cancer. So the North Node is the top of the moon when you were born. The nodes, move for the collective as well. Your North Node in Cancer in the 12th house, which is the house of the unseen. So this is conjunct Sirius, the star Sirius, which is connected to ancient Egypt. So Sirius is often called the spiritual sun, a star of higher consciousness, sacred remembrance, and ancient wisdom. And so, with this tied to your North Node, which just means like this is your spiritual assignment in this life. If you're not doing your North Node, you're not going to be able to manifest because this is what you signed up for. And it represents the greatest challenges you'll have to overcome in order to reach your potential. So, this shows me that your soul's direction is deeply spiritual, intuitive, and humanitarian. And you're here to help others remember something ancient and true within themselves. And you're not just guiding behavior, you're guiding souls home to themselves. And the 12th house placement adds this layer of mysticism and compassion and service to the collective. So you're meant to work with the unseen, with the subconscious, with the soul realm. And then on the other side of this, the south node represents where you've been. So it's like past lives, gifts that you're bringing from past lives, but also things you're shedding from past lives. And so your south node is in the sign of Capricorn, which is cardinal earth. And earth is what we use to build the structures that give us stability and security in our lives. This south node in Capricorn in the sixth house is conjunct Lyra Vega. And this tells the story of where you're from, like I said. And so Lyra carries the frequency of advanced intelligence, cosmic harmony, and deep memory of other worlds. And there again is an ancient mastery in you. So part of your soul already knows discipline, structure, and responsibility. That's like very Capricorn. But in this lifetime, you are being asked to move beyond just functioning and managing systems and instead to soften into intuitive leadership, emotional intelligence, and heart-centered service. And so this is a migration from duty to devotion. And then your Venus, which is the planet of love and money and pleasure. Your Venus is in the sign of Gemini and it's in the 11th house and it is conjunct Orion Regal. Orion is also tied to ancient Egypt, by the way. And Orion is associated with advanced thinkers, visionaries, and those who come with a desire to bring new solutions to Earth. And with your Venus here, the planet of relationships and love and beauty and pleasure, you are encoded to use your voice, your words, and your ideas to transform collective spaces. Your love language is visionary. Your mind is fertile. You are meant to influence communities, create movements, and transmit new paradigms through connection and communication. Then I'm not done. There's more. And this is just the highlights, by the way. Like, I didn't open your soul records. I was just kind of looking. So, your Pluto in Libra, I also have Pluto in Libra, is in the fourth house of home and ancestry and roots. It's conjunct Bootis Arcturus. And this is enormous because Arcturus is one of the most highly evolved star systems, often regarded as the guardian and guide for humanity. And so Pluto is the planet of deep transformation. So in our chart, it shows us like what we came to let die in order to be reborn. Basically, it's like what you don't want other people to know about you. This says to me that your presence alone has the power to initiate profound healing and restructuring in ancestral lines, family systems, and emotional foundations. You are not here to repeat lineage, you're here to alchemize lineage. And so you are a transformer of roots, a rewriter of ancestral scripts, and a stabilizer of future timelines. I know that piece is definitely resonating for you. And then finally, your Jupiter in Scorpio, also in the fourth house, is conjunct the Shapley attractor, which is a gravitational anomaly that is the biggest thing out there. And astronomers are still studying it. They're still trying to understand it. It's one of the most mysterious and powerful points in our known universe. So it has an invisible gravitational pull on everything around it. And then Jupiter is the planet of good fortune and expansion. And it expands whatever it touches. So in you, this becomes kind of a spiritual gravity. People, ideas, opportunities, and destinies are drawn toward you. And there is a deep magnetism here and also a deep calling to use your power responsibly. In Scorpio and in this fourth house, your expansion comes through emotional courage, which we have seen here today, which we have heard here today, depth work, again, shadow integration and healing the hidden layers of the psyche and the past. So taking all of this together, this chart of yours tells the story of a woman who is here to both guide and build. to teach wisdom and to redesign systems that no longer serve humanity. You're not meant to fit into the old world. You are designed to outgrow it and then quietly, bravely help create the new one. So your soul carries an assignment that is bigger than one lifetime. And it's an honor to witness that. So I know that was a lot. Tell me, how is this landing for you?
Let me say accurate, accurate, and accurate.
Yay.
Everything that you said was so on point, and things that I have come to know about myself and my life and this journey and what I'm here for. My mission in this life is to be a catalyst for positive change in over 2 billion people's lives. When you mentioned Egypt several times, I had such a strong calling to Egypt, and I was like, I don't know whether I have lived there in another lifetime, what it is, but the call was so strong that in 2016, I went. And when I touched my foot on the ground, I felt like I was home. I was like, I have been here before. And it's actually one of my favorite places on planet Earth because I feel so connected to Egypt.
Mhm.
And you mentioned using my voice during the pandemic while everybody went inside after the first like 4 months of like looking at these four walls. I was like, I don't see these four walls anymore. And so I decided to go outside and I took a 3-month cross country road trip. And so I went to all these natural places. I went to go see the Ark Encounter in Williamstown, Kentucky, where they have a life
Mhm.
size Ark. I went to North Carolina. I went to the Carlsbad Caverns in Carlsbad, New Mexico. But when I was coming back and I went through Albuquerque, New Mexico, I went through a spiritual vortex. The fabric of time and the energy changed as I drove through this area, and all these downloads started coming. And I was like, okay, I'm driving, so I can't write this down. So I take out my phone and I start recording it. So everything that was coming through, I just recorded on the phone. And a chant, like an Icaros, came through as well. And I sang it into the phone, and once I was done, I listened back to it, and for the first time in my life, I experienced myself.
Mm.
Now, other people for years have been telling me, "Oh my god, your voice is so powerful. There's healing in your voice." And I'm like, "That's great." I'm like, "Wow, thank you. That's amazing." But having a true knowing of something and experiencing it, two different things. And I experienced it and I was like, "Oh my god, there is healing in my voice and I'm supposed to use this as a part of my mission work." And so now fast forward to this year. So in June of this year, my spoken word album came out, which is proof of what's possible. This is a call home to self, to the power that we possess and the truth of who we are. And in it, my healing power of my voice and the healing frequencies of music that the composers created to accompany those messages that had been downloaded to me over this lifetime was put into this album. And I knew that my mission in this life, the main aspect of the mission in this life had been fulfilled because I actually did the assignment that was given to me to create that tool. I was like, any and everything else above and beyond this is bonus. But I knew I was supposed to use my voice to those channeled messages to share that with the world. So it's like everything you said in that reading in this cosmic astrology was so on point in alignment with all these experiences that I've had and information that has come to me. Even the aspect, because I had someone tell me that Metatron, which is the keeper of knowledge,
Mhm.
divine wisdom and knowledge, like that is a part of the energy that is within me. And so it was just kind of like hearing you say this, I'm like, okay, thank you for this beautiful confirmation in this articulated way, in the way that you were able to share it with me, because it is so. It is so.
Yes, ma'am. Oh my goodness. Thank you for allowing me to look at your chart. It's a very intimate thing to look at somebody's natal chart because everything's in there. The wounds, your healing powers, the lessons that you came here to learn. So, this is my favorite thing to do. So, thank you.
It was so beautiful. I'm just like everything you kept saying, I'm like, "Yep."
And that was the highlight reel. I would love to give you a full galactic reading at some point, so we'll connect offline about that, but you would love it because I open the soul records and I get to see what is the quality of that soul connection to that star system, right? Did you have a life there? Did you have a relationship with somebody from that star system? Were you on a mission there? I can't see that just, like, looking at your report, but I know that you have soul connections to Sirius and to Orion, which are
Mm,
very connected to ancient Egypt. So thank you for
girl,
sharing that story. And I really want to go to Egypt myself because I have a lot of Orion soul connections.
my whole body is vibrating right now. You have to go. You literally have to go.
I know, I know, I know. Well, so what are you working on now that you're excited about that you can share with us? I know you just held up your album. What else is going on?
So from that album, a world is being created to be able to share with people these very powerful messages, soul shifting messages in a variety of different forms. And so we had our first film that was created based off of one of the tracks on the album called I'm in Love. This is the poster from the film. It's
Beautiful.
now literally on the thank you. Rick Bentoncourt, he's the one who created the
Mm,
poster. He's such an extraordinarily talented designer. And so this film is going around on a film festival circuit around the world right now. It's award winning. We've been recognized by the California state legislature for its cultural impact. And from that, we're going to continue to do films for every single track on the album. Proof of What's Possible, which is available on all streaming platforms now. So I'm super excited about that. And also bringing the experience of the album into an immersive experience, like a museum exhibit. And so that's something that's also in the works. And so again, it's just now because the thing that I came here to do, my life's work, has literally been now birthed. And now what the assignment is to continue to grow that and just put it in formats that people can resonate with, and that they can receive that information and have their own transformative experience through receiving it.
amazing.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Well, so if people want to find out more about you, if they want to work with you, where should they go to learn more?
Yeah, I'm on all social media platforms, very heavily active on Instagram at Havilah Malone. That's HAVILAHMALONE. The website is under construction right now, but that's havilahmalone.com. Information will be available there. And then you can always reach out to me via email at ask@havilahmalone.com, and I'm happy to connect.
Perfect. Okay. So I will put all of that information in the show notes. I have one last question for you that I ask all of my podcast guests. So, what are the new cycles that you're starting in your lineages?
The news cycles are audacious authenticity. Completely being able to be me, no matter what that looks like, and undefined by the past. New cycles of prosperity and wealth because it's our birthright. We live in an abundant universe, and it is our right to have abundance within our lives. And so, for me, being able to experience that in every aspect of my life, not only from material possessions, but from health, from relationships and love and career, being able to do the things that I love and want to do the way that I want to do them because this life is my choice. And I think this also just kind of falls into that audacious authenticity is the freedom to fully express myself, my gifts, my weirdness, my likes, my dislikes without any inhibition, just to fully be me beyond any boxes.
I love it. Beautiful. Havilah, thank you so much. This has been so enjoyable, so powerful. I appreciate you. Happy holidays to you.
Yay!
Yeah, thank
Happy
you for
holidays.
saying yes to being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been so beautiful connecting with you and you sharing your gifts with me. I'm so grateful and looking forward to more.
I know. Let's do it. It'll be super fun. It's going to blow your mind. When we do the full reading, you'll enjoy it.
Do it.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We will see you next time on the Cycle Starters podcast. Take care. Thanks, Havilah.